Diapadachaya Shodohe Amai Tomada Charana Dhori Chaya Bhega Domi Chaya Dosha Shori Chaya Guna Devo Dase Chaya Satsanga Deho he amare Bosha Shri Shangerashe Ekaki amar nahi khai balo Harinama Sankirtane Tumi kripa kori sharabindu diya Deho Krishna namadane Krishna se tomar, Krishna dite paro, tomara shakti ache. Amito Ganga Krishna Krishna Boli Dayatava Pache Pache Oh hey Vaishnava Thakur Goyara Sagara Ecstatic Oh hey Vaishnava Thakur Dwayara Sagara Edase Karuna Kori Jaya Vaishnava Thakur Vaishnava Thakur Vaishnava Thakur Jaya Vaishnava Thakur Jai Jai Prabhupada 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 Jai Jaya Prabhupada Shri Sachitanya Ashtakam, a world favorite. Ujjvala Vadana. Give me the tune, please. Let me just do it. Trigura Pavana Kripayalesha. Ujjvala Varana Gauravara Deham Vilasita Niravare Bhava Videha. Did you get the photo? There's a good shot of the deities. Ujjvala Varana Goda. Over here. Deham. Ilasita Niravari. Bhava Videham. Take picture, deities in the background. Now. Okay. Tribhuvana Pavana Krupaya Lesham Tampa Manicha Shishachi Panayam. Gadgaram Tada Bhava Vikaram Durjana Tarjana Nada Vishalam. So this Gadgada, go back, Gadgada, that's a sound of the voice faltering, like Gadgada. Everyone say Gadgada. Because you can't talk in the ecstasy, the words won't come out properly. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he had a favorite verse he used to chant when he was at the Ratha Yatra. And it had, let my head fall down at the lotus feet of Lord Jagannath in the Kirtan hall known as Jagamohan. And there's a Bengali to it. And he was singing the Bengali, but in ecstasy he couldn't pronounce it. It was Gadgada, so he was saying Jaja Gaga Pari Mumu instead of pronouncing the whole verse. So this Gadgada Antara Bhava Vikaram, the Vikaram are the transformations of ecstasy. Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaks about this in his song Radha Krishna Bol, when he says that if you go on chanting Hare Krishna, then as you come to your natural condition as a lover of Krishna, you'll experience natural symptoms of ecstasy called vikaram. The body will transform. This is a symptom that one's making advancement in devotional service, but it can only be verified by one's reluctance to engage in sense gratification. It's not that one's restraining oneself, but that one's no longer interested in it. Next two. Bubba. That's the second part. Bhava Bhaya Bhajana Karana Karana. Oh, that's the third section. Bhava Bhaya. Okay, do it again. Okay. Bhava Bhaya Bhajana Karana Karunam Tamprana Mamicha Shri Sachitanayam Arunam. Arunam Maradara Charu Kapola Indu Vinindita Nakachaya Ruchira Jalpita Nijatuna Nama Vinodam Tamprana Mamicha Shri Sachitanaya. Vigalita Nayana Kabala Jaladharam Bhushana Navarasa Bhava Vikara Satyati Mandara Nitya Vilasam Tamprana Mamicha Shri Sachitanaya. Chanchala charu charana gati ruchira Manjira ranjita parajika maduram Chandra benindita shitala varanam Tambrana mamicha shisha chitanaya Kati Dora Kamandalu Gandam Vidyakale Vara Mundika Mundam Durjana Kalmasha Kandana Gandam Tambrana Mamicha Shisha Chitandaya Alakavalitam Tamita Vindara Vara Ruchira Malaya Javira Chitta Ujjalati Lakam Tamrana Mamicha Shisha Chitandaya Dalanayanam Ajanulam Tashi Bhujadigalam Kalivara Kaishora Nartaka Vesham Tampranamamicha Shri Sachitanaya Ujjala Varna Deva Varadeva Nitya Niravari Bhava Videha Trivuna Pavana Kupaya Vesham Tampranamamisha Shri Sachitanaya Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana, Jai Gaura Hari. Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana, Jai Gaura Hari. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya wrote that song. He met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri, and he had fame, he had thousands of followers, he had written books, and was considered the greatest scholar of India at the time. Then he met this teenager, not teenager, 24-year-old who came to Jagannath Puri, and then he realized that he didn't know anything after he met him. At first he wanted to instruct him and tell him about Vedanta Sutra, and he wanted to upgrade his sannyas, because he said, why'd you get such a low-grade sannyas? I can help you out with that. And then, after sitting with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 7 days, teaching him, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't say a word, didn't ask a question. And finally, Sarvabhauma said, you don't have any questions? You don't understand the material? He said, no, I understand the material. It's just your explanations are messing it up. And he was shocked. And he said, well, what do you mean? And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to describe or explain the Sambandha Avyadaya Prayojana of the Vedanta Sutra, just as he did with Prakashananda Saraswati, how it all leads back to Krishna. And its ultimate goal of life, Prema Pumarto Mahan. And when Sarvabhauma heard all this, and the way he explained it, and after he gave explanations of the Atmarama verse, after Sarvabhauma had given unique explanations, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave many more than him, and didn't touch upon his, he could understand this was the intelligence of the Supreme. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed his transcendental form to Sarvabhauma, who then became a great lover of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so much so that he wanted to change the Bhagavatam, because previously he had been a Mayavadi. Mayavadi means I don't believe in the personality of God. That's why this song is so astounding, because all he's doing here is just glorifying the beautiful personage of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, appreciating his qualities, his beauty. And Sarvabhauma, after being transformed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he read Tatenu Kampam Susimik Shamana Bunjani Vatma Kritam Vipakam Hridbhagvapur Vididam Namaste Jivita Yomukti. That word mukti is something that's relished by the Mayavadis. They want to merge into the existence of God. So Sarvabhauma brought that to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu after his conversion, and he said, I want to change this. Mahaprabhu said, you can't change the Bhagavatam. But you have to understand Muktipade actually means the lotus feet of Krishna, because when you approach Krishna's lotus feet, automatically liberation is included. And Sarvabhauma then became so devoted to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Mahaprabhu wanted to go away to South India to preach, Sarvabhauma kept delaying him, please stay longer. And he'd wait for him to come back. And what was he doing in the meantime? Writing these songs about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, just remembering all his personal features. So this is the transformational power of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anybody who can become attracted to him, he's the only meaning for those who are serious about spiritual life, says Kaviraj Goswami. So we sing this song and remember these pastimes between Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, all the pure devotees, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, both in Navadvipa and in Jagannath Puri. And then we can get an inkling for what it means to fall in love with the Supreme Personality of God. Prabhupada said you can't love the sky because it has no features. You can only love a person. And the best person to love is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we're so fortunate that he's appeared here in Silicon Valley. He just showed up one day and said, let's do this. And we said, okay, can we come? And so that's why it's all going on, because of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we rightfully sing these songs and chant his names and dance in ecstasy, because anybody who's connected with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is guaranteed with success in every aspect of his or her life. So we have a lot to celebrate. So say, Haribo! And now we're going right to the Guru Puja, because today we have a special schedule. And we'll start with these prayers that we're trying to preserve these prayers. The Namashreshtam prayer is known, you'll find in most Gaudiya groups around the planet, they chant Namashreshtam. So it's good to know this verse. It's a really beautiful verse. And the other two verses I got from Prabhupada's godbrother Kinshana Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj, that Prabhupada is a godbrother that Prabhupada liked very much. He only chanted Hare Krishna for everything. And Prabhupada would meet with them, and they would laugh and talk. And he used to chant these verses. He used to chant a lot of verses even when he did Kirtan. So the next two after this are ones that he also used to chant. He actually chanted this one too. Namashreshtam manumapi shachiputra matra sarupam shirupam tasyagrajam urupari maturim goshtavatim radha kundam girivaramoho radhika madhavasham Prapto yasya pratita kripaya Shri Gurum tam natosmi. He Guru Jnanada Dinabando Swananda Data Kodanaika Sindo Vrindavana Sina Hitavatar Prasida Radha Pranaya Prachar. He Dinabando Kodanaika Sindo Kuru Prasada Maimanda Mudhe Laksha Parade Bahupapagade Tatpada Padme Stu Matishta Krishna. I bow down to the beautiful lotus feet of my spiritual master, by whose causeless mercy I have obtained the supreme holy name, the divine mantra, the service of the son of Shachi Mata, the association of Srila Sarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami and his older brother Sanatan Goswami, the supreme abode of Mathura, the blissful abode of Vrindavan, the divine Radha Kunj and Govardhan Hill, and the desire within my heart for the loving service of Sri Radhika and Madhava in Vrindavan. O spiritual master, O giver of divine wisdom, O friend of the fallen, you are the giver of your own bliss, and you are the only ocean of mercy. Although dwelling in Vrindavan, you have descended for the welfare of fallen souls like myself, and you are preaching the divine love of Radha for Krishna. Please be kind upon me. O friend of the lily, O Gurudev, you are the only ocean of mercy. I am a dull fool and have committed hundreds of thousands of offenses. I have fallen into a dense myriad of sins. Therefore give me your mercy so that my mind may be fixed on your lotus feet and on Sri Krishna. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. I bow to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. Our only wish is to have our consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens our darkened eyes and fills our hearts with transcendental knowledge. He is our Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. Big scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, a friend of the poor, and the Lord of the master devotees. O Master, be merciful to us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Our fame is spread out. Go back to number 2, please. So our only wish to have our consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus. Attachment to his lotus feet is perfection, fulfills all desires. So we have to be attached somewhere because it's the nature of the soul. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Nahi kashit shanamapi jatu tishtatya karma krit karyate hyavasha karma sarva prakriti jargunai. The living condition, the condition of consciousness, is to be active, and that includes attachment. So, Krishna consciousness means transferring our authority, and that means becoming attached to an authority that's connected to Krishna. And then you can keep going. Then that becomes our perfection of life. And as it's mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita and elsewhere, acharyopasanam. The main process for success is the worship of the acharya. Acharya means somebody who sets the example, teaches by example. So we have to follow someone. Everyone has a tendency to follow because we're living entities. People, yesterday I was at an appointment and I saw someone wearing a shirt. It was a football jersey that had a player's name on the back of it. And I thought, well, you're not him, right? But you're following him. Like probably watching to see what did he say next and what kind of car does he drive and things like that. But the perfection is attachment to the lotus feet, which means to find what the person said, how they lived, and follow that, emulate that in one's life. So that's the acharya system that we follow. And if we can do that, the acharya means one who only speaks on behalf of Krishna. Doesn't make anything up. Is only saying what Krishna said. Like an attorney will just say, this is what the law is. You'll have to deal with it, but that's what it is. And so it's for our betterment. Otherwise, we're left to be attached to those who have imperfect knowledge because they don't follow Krishna, or they live some lifestyle of wanton sense gratification, which leads to a ridiculous situation of going on trying to do the same act on stage, even when one's 80 years old, prancing around and thinking like, this is cool. And everyone's going, not cool anymore, sorry. So the material world's cool until it's not. But it's actually never really cool for those who know that Krishna's the coolest there is. And he's represented by the acharyas, who are even cooler still. Sri Guru Charana Padma Kevalabha Gati Shadma. Gotta sing it loud from your heart. Charyapasana. Bando Mui Sabadana Jahara Prasare Bhai Bhavato Viyaja. Krishna Prapti Hoy Jaha Ecstatic Korea Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Ecstatic Korea Charane Rati Eshayu Samagati Sri Guru Charane Rati Eshayu Yamuna Sajate Devika Jahara Charita Devika Jahara Charita Karuna Sindhu Agama Janara Bandhu Karuna Sindhu Agama Janara Bandhu Lokana Lokera Jivana Ha ha Prabhu Kora Doya Deha Mure Pada Chaya Ha Prabhu Kora Doya Deha Mure Pada Chaya Ede Jastu Shikti Bhuvana Jastu Shikti Bhuvana Ha ha Prabhu Kora Doya Deha Mure Pada Chaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Vedanta Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Gadadhar. There's no Gadadhara. Gadadhar. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Gadadhar. My godbrother Madhavananda Prabhu led a nice kirtan one day, and then Prabhupada called him over afterwards and said, very nice kirtan. But there's no Gadadhara. It's Gadadhar. If you look at it, Gadadhar's got a long A. Gadadhara. There's no Gadadhara. It's different. Okay? Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everybody chant Hare Krishna. More Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Go. No, 2 lines. 1 in, 1 out. Go. You come with me. You come with me. You keep going. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Ready for 3? Going for 3. Keep going, 3 lines. 3. Keep going. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Need more in this line. Yeah, there you go. 1 more in here. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, big circle, like this. Then 1, 2, 3, 4. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. 1, 2, 3, 4. Krishna, Krishna. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Bigger. Let everyone else in. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hare Krishna. 1, 2, 3. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sounds good. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Lord Chaitanya. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Go, Nick, go. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The Thai Gold Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Sai Gaur Premanande. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki. Shri Harinam Mantra ki. Shri Harinam Prabhu ki. Gaur Premanande. Nitai Gaura Haribo. 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Bhagavatam class. Jayo Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parirajaka Sto Tarashita Shishima Abhaya Charanana Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayo Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parirajaka Sto Tarashita Shishima Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaisesika Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sri Gaur Bhakti Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopina Shamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Sri Vrindavanam Ki Jai. Sri Mayapur Navaditam Ki Jai. Sri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. All glorious to assembled devotees. All glorious to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Go Premanande Hari Bol. Where's that? Yeah, the bag. Somebody with rhythm. Vetted. Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balaba Jaya Giri Vardhari Gopi Jana Balaba Jaya Giri Vardhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Rama. Work with me now. Hare wait for it. Re Go Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Narayanam Namaskritya. Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Devim Sarasatim Vyasam. Tato Jayam Udiraye. Just two songs. Today we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam. And we're on the third canto. Third canto, chapter 13, which is the appearance of Lord Varaha. And the verse is number 13. Yesham na tushto bhagavan yagna lingo janardana desham shramo hyapartaya yadatma nadrita swayam. A few chanters, please. Yesham natushto bhagavan yagya lingo janardana tesham shramo hyapartaya
Yadatma nadrita swayam.
yadatma nadrita swayam.
Natushto Bhagavan
Yesham natushto bhagavan
Yagnalingo Janardanaha
yagyalingo janardana
Tesham Sramoya Parthaya
tesham shramo hyapartaya
Yadatmana Dhruta Swayam.
yadatma nadrita swayam. Or ek. Esham natushto bhagavan
Yajna lingo janardana
yagyalingo janardana
tesham shramo hi aparthaya
shramo hyapartaya
yadatma nadrita swayam.
yadatma nadrita swayam. Una más, por favor. Yesham natushto Bhagavan
Yajnalingo Janardanaha
Yajnalingo Janardanaha
Tesham Shramo Hyaparthaya
Yesham Shramaya Partaya
Yadatma Nadrita Swayam.
Yadatma Nadrita Swayam. So before we look at the word for word, what do you notice about it, the verse so far? Any observations from just looking at it in this form? Any words you recognize? Let's see which words we automatically recognize. Bhagavan. What does Bhagavan mean? Okay, use the mic individual because group answers are nice, but I can't tell who's saying what.
Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Can you say anything more about Bhagavan? What does Bhagavan mean? What is the root of the word and how is it applied? Go ahead. Okay. Anybody wants to say more? Bhagavan. Yes, go ahead.
One who has all the six opulences.
Yeah, can you break the word down a little more? That's true. Can you quote a verse that relates to that? What are this? Who knows the verse with the six opulences in them?
Ye te chan sakala punsam Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indiyari Vyakulam Lokam Rudayanti Yuge Yuge.
That's a very important verse, but it's not the one I was looking for. Okay, grab your shloka books. You should look it up. These important verse that describes how the Lord has six opulences and what they are. So who knows what bhaga means? Who knows how to look it up in that book? Education doesn't mean you know everything. It knows how you know how to look everything up, and not necessarily on Google. Although there's nothing wrong with that. You know how to look it up? Go to the subject index in the back. Look for Bhagavan. Look for six opulences. One of my godbrothers used to distribute books. He'd say, "Here, have a look," and somebody would say, "Well, what is it?" And he goes, "It's a new invention. It's called the book." Okay, so Van means, yes, please go ahead. Take the mic. Give her the mic. Raise your hand. Tell where it is first. Always cite where it is so everyone can catch up to you. Tech support.
Is given by Parashar Muni in Vishnu Puran 6.5.47. Aishwaryasya samagrasya virasya yasa shriya jnana vairagyasya chaiva sanam bhaga itingana. Bhagavan has full of six opulent strength, fame, wisdom, wealth, beauty, and renunciation.
Say the words and then word for word, what each word means. Okay, everyone listen. It's going to be on the quiz in about 30 seconds. So
Virasya, strength. Yashasha, fame. Shriya, wisdom. Wisdom is Gyan. Vairagya is renunciation. Chaiva.
Cha eva.
Cha eva. Sanam bhag itingana.
Means?
Bhaga is opulence. And itingana, etc. Sanam.
Give the word for word from the book. Aishwarasya samagrasya virasya yasasya shriya. Aishvarya. What is Aishvarya? Yeah, like opulence. Aishvaryasya samagrasya viryasya. Virya. Like the word in English, virile. Somebody's virile, they have some potency. Virasya yasasa yasha. Whose name that you know from Vrindavan starts with this word, Yasha. Ashoda. What's da mean? Giving. Yeah, it's like being distributed. And Yashoda. So Yash means fame, right? So Yashoda is one whose fame is distributed all throughout the world, right? So Krishna has fame. It's the most famous, more famous than the Beatles. Shriya. Come on, pundits, wake up back there and help out. Take some microphone or something. Go ahead.
Of beauty.
Of beauty, yeah. Okay.
Then
and
we
then?
have jnana, of knowledge.
What does jnana mean?
Knowledge.
What's a word in English that comes from jnana?
To know.
Is that why it's spelled so funny?
Yes.
As jnana, everyone looks at janana. And then you look at know, if you don't know how to spell it, and kano. It's from the same word. Jnana and no. Kano. Kano. Janana. And then?
Vairagya and of
Vairagya. Who can give an example of Krishna exhibiting renunciation? In any of his incarnations? Where did he exhibit renunciation? Go ahead.
When Krishna, in Dwarka, before he left back to the spiritual world, he left his entire family before returning back.
Okay. Nice. Any others? Govinda, Prabhu? Give a mic in the back, just leave it back there. It's very interesting how God is renounced, isn't it?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Tyaktva sudushad su Rajalakshmi su dustajya. Tyaktva su dustajya surepsita Rajalakshmi
Dharmishta
Aryavachasa yat agat aranyam Maya Mrigam Daya ipsita yat agat. Sorry. So he ran after that Maya Mrigam.
It's in the first line, right? Tyaktva, he gave up.
So this is the Surepsita Raja Lakshmi Dharmishta Aryavachasa yat agat aranyam.
What everybody else is going after is the goddess of fortune. True or false? Okay. If you didn't say true, see me afterwards.
Then it's about Lord Sri Ram. So he was the. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the verse.
This verse is important. It talks about Ram, talks about Krishna, it talks about Lord Chaitanya. So Tyaktva Sudusya Surepshita Raja Lakshman Dharmishta Arya Vachasaya Ragada Ranya. So Tyaktva means to give up. Say Tyaktva. If there's something that you don't want anymore, you say Tyaktva. Tyaktva Sudusya Surepshita Raja Lakshman. So everyone's searching for the goddess of fortune. They put a little, horseshoe on their house. That's for good luck, apparently. And it's like, please, let her come here. Stop here.
Sorry, Vande Mahapurushte Charanaravindam. That's the last line.
Yes, this is Karabhajana Muni in the 11th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, worshipping the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the other Purushas who are described in this verse by our Acharyas, one of them is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he gave up the goddess of fortune at home and went and took sannyas. He was married to the goddess of fortune, and he just took off in the middle of the night, actually right when Brahma Muhurta was starting. He could feel the breath in his nostrils change, and he thought, now's the time. So he got up, and his mother was sitting in the doorway. She knew he was leaving, and she was disconsolate, didn't say anything, and he consoled her as best he could, said, you are my life and soul, wouldn't have this life without you. Only several of his devotees knew he was leaving, and he just went off, and then he went and took sannyas from Keshav Bharti. So that's one. And the other two, and why did he do it? Dharmishta, Arya. So the Arya, during the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Sri Vasangam, they had Kirtan all night long. And then the next day, they still did their work. It's not that for a year they slept in during the day. They didn't have the night shift and then all day long there. But by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's potency, and don't try this at home, by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's potency, they were just awake 24 hours a day. And so one Brahmin came there and said he wanted to come in the Kirtan, but he couldn't come in because they only allowed pure devotees to come in during the first year, get things warmed up. And that Brahmin became so furious that when he saw Nimai Pandit down by the Ganga, where everyone was taking bath, he cursed Mahaprabhu. He said, I curse you that you'll never have material enjoyment. And Mahaprabhu became very ecstatic. And he took that Brahmins as an instruction to leave home. Tyaktva sadusyaja. And then the second one means that Ramchandra got Arya Vachasa. The Vachasa, the words of his father, were that you have to leave and I'm banishing you, because he was following the instruction of his wife, Kaikeyi, who said, I'm taking in my boons now, and one of them I want is that your son Ram go to the forest. Second, I want my son Bharat installed on the throne. So Arya Vachasa, that came from his father, and he was the Arya. So he followed those words, and he was so renounced. Everybody knows he was so renounced, he just left the kingdom. And then the third is Krishna. He left, actually the Sandipani Muni, not Sandipani Muni, but his other guru, the name-giving ceremony. Gargamuni had said there's going to be danger here, so they moved to another place based on the words of Gargamuni. So the Acharyas give three meanings to that. But they all show, and they're all talking about Krishna, Tyaktva sadusyaja sarepshita. Thanks, Prabhu. It was a really nice citation. Hare Krishna. So that's a renunciation. So Bhagavan, if we go back to our verse for today, Van means one who possesses, and Bhaga means all these opulences. So Bhagavan means the possessor of all opulences. And so when we talk about the definition of God, we say Bhagavan is one who has unparalleled opulences, all these six. Some people may have them one or two or three, but he has all six of them unlimitedly. So that's Bhagavan. Any other words you see there that you recognize? Tushto. Tushto is the temple president of the Denver temple. Right? His name is Tushta Krishna Prabhu, great sadhu. And so, Tushta means? Satisfaction, everyone agree? Okay. So, Tushto, and how about Yagya? Sacrifice. Lingo? Huh? Symbol? Lingo? What does lingo mean in the word for word? We can look now. We just want to see what Yagya Lingo means. Yagya Linga means the form of sacrifice, the linga. Okay? Go back up. Don't look at the other stuff. Up, up, up. A little further. Keep going. Stop. Okay. Any other words that you recognize? Huh? Janardana. Say, what does Janardana mean? Means Krishna. What does it mean? All the names of Krishna mean something. Someone say what it means. Microphone, tell what Janardana means.
He's a person who is the arad, the jana does do aradhana to him. Jana means the living
that's
entities, and aradhana means to worship.
Jana Ardhana. Any other comments? Yes.
Another word for word meaning for Janardana is killer of the atheists. Jana plus Ardhana.
Jana plus Ardhana?
Yeah, killer of the atheists.
Killer of the atheists. Okay. In this age, the only killing that takes place is killing the mean spirit within the hearts of people. There's no killing called for of the physical body. Okay, how about Shramo? Hard work, Shrama. It sounds like that, right? How was your day today? Shrama. And he, aparataya. What does aparataya means? Look down. Go down just a little bit. Keep going. Apartaya, without profit. So apartaya. And na adrita, respected swayam, his own self. Okay, go back to the verse. What does it mean? Somebody please? Yes, Govinda Prabhu.
I think broad translation will be that by whom the Lord, who is Yagyalinga and Janardhan, those are the adjectives given, is not satisfied, that person's effort is useless, just as one does not respect the self.
Wow, that was nice. Okay, let's see how he did. Here's the big reveal. What? You have more? Okay, bring it down to the translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Janardana, Lord Krishna, is the form to accept all the results of sacrifice. If he is not satisfied, then one's labor for advancement is futile. He is the ultimate self, and therefore one who does not satisfy him certainly neglects his own interests. What a powerful verse, huh? Let's say it together. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Janardana, Lord Krishna, is the form to accept all the results of sacrifice. If he is not satisfied, then one's labor for advancement is futile. He is the ultimate self, and therefore one who does not satisfy him certainly neglects his own interests. Let's look at the Sanskrit again and see how it... Yesham natushto Bhagavan, like natushto if he's not satisfied, right? Yagyalingo Janardana, he's the form that accepts sacrifice. Tesham shramo hyapartaya means that person, tesham, those. Is it such a hard labor? Those people, they just do hard labor for no profit. Apartaya, they don't get any profit out of it. That doesn't sound very good. Yadatma nadrita swayam. Not respecting their own self. Okay. It's very profound, isn't it? It kind of gives the secret to life. All right, let's look at the translation one more time. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Janardhan, Lord Krishna, is the form to accept all the results of sacrifice. Give me a verse from the Bhagavad Gita. As fast as possible. Yeah, okay, microphone. Tai goes the runner.
Yagnarthat karmano netra lokoyam karma bandhana tadartham karma kaunteya mukti sangha samachara.
Means?
It means that one should perform all the activities for the satisfaction of Krishna. Yajna. Yajna means sacrifice. Yagnarthat karmano netra. If we do anything else, lokoyam karma bandhana, they are entanglement in the material world. Tadartham karma kauntya. If we perform activities for his satisfaction, mukta sangha samachara, one is liberated from the entanglement.
Very good. So if you go in a shop, I remember sometimes on vacation with my parents, we get out of the car, go into some gift shop. There'll be some delicate items in the shop, and they have a little sign that say, you break it, you buy it. And in this world, if you touch it without a noble purpose, in other words, you're touching, whatever we touch here, if we don't have the purpose of yajna, it entangles us. So everything has to come into this connection of, I'm using this for Krishna, otherwise don't touch it. Otherwise it'll entangle us. Okay? Another verse? Yes.
From the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Bhoktaram Yagye Tapsam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. So the first part of the verse is Bhoktaram Yagye Tapsam. I am the enjoyer of all sacrifices, Krishna says.
Nice. That's the quintessential verse, and that one too. Those both satisfy that. So the Supreme Personality of Janardhan, Lord Krishna, is the form to accept all the results of sacrifice. So it's a place to bring what we have and offer it before we get entangled by it. And if we start with that intention, that I'm doing this for Janardhan, I'm doing it for Krishna, then we don't become entangled. The Bhagavad Gita confirms it. Then it says, if he is not satisfied, then one's labor for advancement is futile. Who can give a reference for that somewhere in the Shastra? That if Krishna is not satisfied, then one's labor is futile. I'll give you, yes, go ahead. Aparagarangi, in the back first row, quadrant 2.
So this is from the first canto, 2nd chapter, 8th verse. Dharma sanushtita pumsa vishvaksena kathasaya notpadedayati ratim shramayeva hi kevalam. So it says that the occupational activities a man performs according to his own imposition are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction for the message of the personality of Godhead.
Well done. Very good. Anybody else have any other ideas? Yes, Govinda Prabhu?
Maharaj, I'm not remembering the full verse, but the last pada is Hi adhenu iv rakshitaha. So just as a non-milk giving.
Yeah, it's in the 10th canto. Just look it up. Hyedum yeva rakshita. Krishna spoke this verse.
Hi adhenu iv rakshita. Yeah, I mean.
Means that Krishna says that if you keep a cow that doesn't give milk and you take all the trouble of maintaining it, then that's the same thing as if you're working really hard but you don't get any result. Hyidenum eva rakshita. And also, as he's looking it up, that's, what is it? First word? Shraddha brahmanishnato nanishyati yadi shama eva palo yadidum eva rakshata. Could you say it again? Which number? 11, 11, 18.
Sorry, it's a different context. It says that even if you have the complete knowledge, but you're not dedicating it towards devotion, then your knowledge is useless. It's a different context, sorry.
Shabda Brahmani Nishnato. Judges, will we take it? Okay, it's accepted. Na Nishnayat Pareyadi Shramas Tasya Shrama Palo Hyadenum Eva Rakshita. So Krishna is giving this analogy. He says, here's the translation. Somebody read the translation, please. Oh, you don't get any credit for that.
If through meticulous study one becomes expert in reading Vedic literatures, but makes no endeavor to fix one's mind on Supreme Personality of Godhead, then one's endeavor is certainly like that of a man who works very hard to take care of a cow that gives no milk. In other words, the fruit of one's laborious study of Vedic knowledge will simply be the labor itself. There will be no other tangible result.
Okay. And also, if you look at the 7th canto, 9th chapter, Manyet Dana Bijara Rupa Tapasu Chaujas. Manye Dana Bijana Rupa Tapasu Chaujas. Then this is Prahlad Maharaj offering prayers to the to Lord Nrsingadev. Manye means 7, 9, 10, and Manye means I think that. No, above that. It's just before that. Go up one. Dana means riches, Abhijana means aristocratic family. He's saying if you have all these things, raise your hand if you have them. Dana, riches. See me afterwards. Abhijana. Aristocratic family. Rupa, personal beauty. Tapa, austerity. Shruta, knowledge of studying the Vedas. Oja, sensory prowess. Teja, bodily strength. Keep going. Bodily effulgence. Prabhava, influence. Bala, bodily strength. Paurusha, diligence. Buddhi, intelligence. Yoga, mystic power. So then he says, na, aradhanaya. But if it's not for satisfying, if it doesn't satisfy Krishna, he indeed, bhavati, are parasya, are transcendental, of the transcendent. Meaning Krishna, Pumsa, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhaktya Tutosha Bhagavan Gajayutapaya. So he says that if you have all these qualities, but you don't satisfy Krishna, then it's useless. But then he remembered Gajendra. Go down. That he remembers that Gajendra was just an elephant. He's an animal, but he had satisfied Krishna because he did a little offering. He said some prayers and took a lotus out of the pond with his trunk and offered it. And then he said he satisfied Krishna. So Prahlad then concludes that if you just have if you have some sincerity, then you can offer prayers. Okay, let's go back to our verse for today. Supreme Personality of Godhead Janardhan, Lord Krishna, is the form to accept all the results of sacrifice. If he is not satisfied, then one's labor for advancement is futile. He is the ultimate self, and therefore one who does not satisfy him certainly neglects his own interests. Let's hear the purport. Brahma is deputed as the supreme head of universal affairs, and he in his turn deputes Manu and others as charges d'affaires. Somebody ask Webster's how to pronounce that. Or if you're French, raise your hand. Of the material manifestation. But the whole show is for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What whole show? Huh? The universal affairs, right? Everything that's going on, the whole show is for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Imagine how embarrassing it is to get that wrong. You're like, hey, this is not for you. This is the whole show here is for the Supreme. Is like, ooh, sorry. Awkward. Okay. Brahma knows how to satisfy the Lord. And similarly, persons engaged in the line of Brahma's plan of activities also know how to satisfy the Lord. So listen how important it is. Brahma knows how to satisfy the Lord, and similarly, persons engaged in the line of Brahma's plan of activities also know how to satisfy the Lord. If you know somebody who's engaged in the line of Brahma's plan of activities, raise your hand. You have their number? Everyone who's in the Brahma Bandha Gaudiya Sampradaya knows. So now raise your hand if you know somebody who's engaged in Brahma's plans. If you came here today, you're it. Okay. The Lord is satisfied by the process of devotional service consisting of the ninefold processes of hearing and chanting, etc. It is in one's own self-interest to execute prescribed devotional service, and anyone who neglects this process neglects his own self-interest. Everyone wants to satisfy his senses, but above the senses is the mind. Above the mind is the intelligence, and above the intelligence is the individual self. And above the individual self is the super self. Above even the super self is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu Tattva. The primeval Lord and the cause of all causes is Sri Krishna. The complete process of perfectional service is to render service for the satisfaction of the transcendental senses of Lord Krishna, who is known as Janardhan. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Now let's have some discussion about the verse. What questions did it bring up for you, or what points did you find to be so relevant to your life that perhaps they may be life-changing at this point? You got a do-over that you'll start today because you read this verse. What things will you do differently? And Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu. We need a microphone in the third quadrant.
I think the point about how anything that is not done in the service of Krishna or towards his satisfaction is useless. So even when I do things that may not be directly relevant to Krishna, like maybe not devotional service necessarily, I'll try to still have the attitude that let me use this in some way for Krishna service.
Good. So what can be used in Krishna service? Let's put aside all the things that can't be used first. What things can't you use in Krishna service? Huh? Canned food? Frozen peas? What? Hansapriya. We need a microphone in quadrant number 2, please.
I was having a conversation yesterday night with my friend Govinda in Vrindavan. She is a full-time really engaged in service, like she doesn't waste a minute. And when I talked to her about ISV's mood that we have this month for marathon, and then she was mentioning that the devotees, they can actually don't know how to do the book distribution. But talking to you, it makes me feel like even just putting our body out, Krishna will accept that sacrifice. So it was fresh in my mind. And then today's words that how Janardana, he looks for the sacrifice that we make. So even she was saying that even if I may not be able to take my book out, but after talking to you, understanding the mood that the ISV is carrying, at least that effort would be noticed by Lord Janardana.
So that's a very helpful point, and it's fresh from Vrindavan, from a devotee who's fully engaged. So that was very helpful. Let's think about it for a minute too. Does it take any courage to make sacrifices for Krishna? Would you say courage? You want to say more about that? Someone who shake their head. Go ahead. Shook their head.
It takes courage to sacrifice for Krishna because we're still conditioned and in this material world under the influences of the 3 modes of material nature. So we obviously, like this purport was saying, that we always want to satisfy our senses. So there's a sacrifice in our own satisfaction versus giving that up for satisfying Krishna.
Okay, that was very nice. So where's the word courage come from? French. It comes from the word core, which means the heart. Sorry, I answered my own question, but I'm noticing the time. So it comes from the word core. If you bring up the Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, last verse, 20, and the second to last paragraph, and we'll notice that the heart is very important. Courage means this strength of heart. It means that you have a power to actually embrace devotional service, to make a sacrifice for Krishna rather than to yourself. So if we look here, we see that, one is performing devotional service, sorry, it's the last paragraph, in the association of pure devotees in full Krishna consciousness. There are certain things which require to be vanquished altogether. The most important thing one has to surmount is weakness of heart. Hridaya Daurbalya, that's mentioned by Haridas Thakur. Hridaya Daurbalya means weakness of heart. Weakness of heart, W-O-H. Spells? Whoa. Beware of it. Okay, the most important thing one has to surmount is weakness of heart. The first fall down is caused by the desire to lord it over material nature. Thus one gives up the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord. The second weakness of the heart is that as one increases the propensity to lord it over material nature, he becomes attached to matter and the possession of matter. The problems of material existence are due to these weaknesses of the heart. In this chapter, the first 5 verses describe the process of freeing oneself from these weaknesses of heart, and the rest of the chapter, from the 6th verse to the end, discusses Purushottam Yoga. The first 5 verses of this chapter are a description of our existential situation here in the material world, that we're engaged with a reflection of reality. And if you look at the sun in a mirror, you'll be startled by it. It's just as bright as the sun if you look at it directly. And some of this material world looks very real. It's very engaging in various ways, but it's not real in the sense that it's temporary. We can't ever embrace it or hold on to it. That's why Krishna starts that chapter 15 with Urdhva Mula Madasakam. He gives this description of a banyan tree, has its roots downward and roots upward and its branches down. So it's by 360 degrees. This material world is 180 degrees reflection. So we're looking in the wrong direction, trying to engage with the reflection. And this weakness can be overcome, Prabhupada's saying, by, first of all, understanding what is the reality. So, na rupa masyeha tatopa labhyate nanto na chadir na chasampratishta ashvata menam svaruda mulam asanga shastrena dritena chitva. That first part, this verse in 15th chapter says that you have to, chitva means to cut down your attachment to the illusory tree. Illusory tree. So, someone wrote me something very insightful yesterday, and that was about, they had read in the 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam about Hiranyakashipu's consoling his family. Did you know he was a good consoler? Kind of funny. And he knows Atmatattva Gyan very well, obviously. So his brother had died. It was a glorious death, actually, but Hiranyakashipu and his family didn't appreciate it. He had been killed by Vishnu. Because they're demons, they don't like Vishnu. So Varaha had killed Hiranyaka. Hiranyaka means gold eye. Sounds like James Bond. And he had been slapped by Varaha, just at the root of the ear, and that was enough. It killed him. Such a big, powerful demon, but Varaha, that's where the saying comes, smacked upside the head. And so then the family was mourning, and Hiranyakashipu sat them all down, and he told them different stories, vignettes, to help them overcome their grief. So one of them was about some little pigeons. And these pigeons, two of them, little lovebirds, were out at Home Depot getting materials to build up their little nest. And when they came back to their nest, there was a net over it. And all their little babies in there, chirp, 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 were caught by the cruel hunter. So the mother was so distraught that she flew into the nest and was caught in the net. And the male bird stood there so aggrieved, he was stunned with grief. The cruel hunter, who was crouched in the corner, then shot his arrow and killed the bird. The end. That's the end of the story. How did you like it? And this devotee, this very soft-hearted devotee, but very determined in devotional service, was talking about attachment to family and so forth, and she just reported how sobering it was. It kind of gave her this sense of strength of heart, that this is how the material world works. In fact, there's a Bengali saying that Prabhupada quotes frequently. I don't know the Bengali, but it goes like this. We built this very beautiful house for our enjoyment, and now it is burnt to the ground. The end. This is a little vignette that describes the material world. So these sink in after a while, and we start to see the world in a different way. Like, see little birds. I saw two little lovebirds on the air conditioning in New Delhi once. I stayed at the guest house. Somebody was making racket out there. So I looked out the window, and they were jumping off the balcony, these little birds, going down. They'd each come back with a little piece of straw in their mouth and then help build the nest. And I thought of this story, Shrama Evahi Kevalam. So anyway, there's a sense that the Bhagavad Gita gives us that you have to cut down your attachment to the material world. Let's look at it objectively. It's a illusory presentation. It's coming and going. It's going to change. So you can't hold on to it. So he said, after you get this sense of the temporality of the material world, then he says, tatak padam tat parimargitavyam. You have to have a tat. Tat means you got to know where you're going. Like Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Param Sada. Tat means it's a demonstrative pronoun, means you're able to point, like, where are you going? It's like, I don't know. No. Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Param. I'm going there. Tat. Om Tat Vishnu. I'm going to Vishnu. So this says, Tatak Padam Tat Parimargitavyam Yasmin Katana Nirvartanti Bhuya Tameva Chadyam Purusham Prabhadye Yatak Praviti Prashrita Purani. Now you go on a journey, now that you've given up this sense that this material world is going to satisfy me, or I can stay here, or I can arrange things so that it's all going to work out. I hate to bring up such things, but it's true. Then he said you have to have a place to go. Go on this journey. Parimargitavyam. Make the full journey all the way back to the original person from whom everything is emanated. There you won't be disappointed, because he's the form that will accept all our sacrifice, all our love. Sacrifice means love. You give up something for somebody because you love them. Yes, Radhakripa Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, you mentioned about Hiranyakashipu. He has a Atma Tattva Gyan, but still, he was not friendly with Krishna. So I was just wondering, we typically follow the Atma Tattva Gyan, then you have that understanding, then you develop a love for Krishna. But how does, why he didn't develop that love? Or it was enmity?
It's an inside secret of Jai and Vijay. They're actually devotees. They're playing a part of demons. But it happens. It happens a lot. Actually, the Jarasandha is very Vedic. Wore peg shoes, all the trappings of a Vedic scholar, but he didn't like Krishna. Ramaharshan, he also is a big scholar. He knew Sanskrit really well. He knew all the Shastras inside and out. But then when Balaram came, he didn't respect him. So Balaram took a little piece of kusha grass and just bink, like. And this is this happens. Vedavada Rata is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says there's people that they know everything about the Vedas, but they don't know what's the purpose behind them. So it's useless. It's a useless endeavor, knowing the Vedas but not knowing what their purpose is. Yes.
When it was said that you read all the Vedic and you don't, you will still not understand. I was remembering that in a class it was said that the knowledge is realized only when we do the service. Without service, just reading so much will never be realized. So I was thinking of that. Yeah.
So give a verse to back it up. Go ahead. Oh, I thought you had one. Anybody have a verse to back it up? Yes, go ahead.
Atha sa Krishna nama dina bhavet graham indri sevan mukhe hi jihvado swayameva sfurutyada. The holy names, the transcendental names and pastimes of Krishna cannot be understood by blunt senses, but when one performs seva through tongue, through chanting his names and through honoring Krishna Prasadam, then Krishna himself reveals.
Well done. So you can memorize it. Okay, yes, Shastra Prada. One who is the servant of the distributor of the essence of the Shastra.
On that point, Guru Maharaj, there's also a verse in Padyavali that says a very similar thing. The verse talks about Mimamsakas, and it says, Mimamsa rajasa malima sadrisham tavan nadhirishvare garvo darka kutarka karkashadhiyam dure pivarta hare jananto pina janato shruti sukham shri rangi sangadrite susvadum pariveshayantyapi alam Gurvi nadarvi sprishet. Essentially, that third line says, Jananto pira janato shruti sukham. They might know the Vedas, api na janato shruti sukham, but they don't know the happiness of studying it because Shri Rangi Sangadrite, they're devoid of the association of Krishna's devotees. And the last line says, basically, just like a ladle might distribute nectar, but not taste it themselves, in a similar way, they might speak Shastra to people, and they give nectar to other people for them to relish, but they themselves never will taste that nectar.
Nice citation. Beautiful verse. Thank you very much. So there's a very practical aspect to the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna brings this up the second chapter, Yavan Artha Udapane Sarvata Samplutodake Tavan Sarveshu Vedeshu Brahmanasya Vijanataha. If you do know the purpose behind the Vedas, then you can achieve the results. If you don't, then you do a lot of useless labor. He gives an example of, in villages, people would have various wells that they would use for individual purposes, specific purposes. He said if you have a river nearby, then you can achieve all the results of all these wells in one place because river doesn't get contaminated. I mean, if you try really hard, you can do it. And you can take the results of all the wells there. So what he meant there, according to our acharyas, what he means is that if you know the purpose behind the Vedas, then you can take the essential part, the Shastra Sar, and then you can achieve the results of all the various aspects of the Vedas. So that comes down to statements like Sarva Vedeshu Drishyate in the Kalisantarana Upanishad, which I think I mentioned earlier, or maybe last night. It says that those who know what they're looking for, that have eyes of knowledge, they're guided properly. They can see the essence of the Vedas is devotional service. And specifically, it's mentioning they're chanting Hare Krishna. People, yes. Microphone to the fourth quadrant, second row to the left.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, you're asking about how do we have courage for Krishna. I had a comment on that. So when we were in San Francisco, Harinam, and the most difficult place to distribute books because everybody's running really, really fast. And I saw Rupashri Vasudha Mataji, Rohini's mom, and she just seeming like just came. She just took some books in her hand, and she was so fearless. She just started distributing books, and in just 3 or 4 minutes, she emptied all her books. And the first time I saw, she may seem like not very courageous externally, but internally she was determined and she was fearless that she wants to go and give these books to everybody. And she didn't seem like it's hard place or anything like that. She just went right ahead. And another one I was thinking is when we were going store to store, distributing books in an unknown place, Morgan Hill, we saw a lot of Christian signs and everything in there. And we just walk in and we saw pictures of all Jesus Christ, Mary, and everywhere. And then in that, we went and say, here, these are the books on yoga and meditation. And then I was just thinking that that small sign of showing that courage for Krishna, Krishna rewards you by many, many, many folds, but just that small sign of courage is all what you need. So,
Haribol.
Please accept my humble obeisances, Krishna. I just want to get a better understanding and get some guidance going back to the word sacrifice, that Krishna is if he is not satisfied with all the results of the sacrifice. So if I look at all my activities, there may be some selfless activities which the sacrifice is referring to, for example, devotional service. But when I look at some of the more mundane activities, for example, we are attending a wedding tonight. How do you suggest one goes about thinking so that you can connect even some of these activities as being Krishna is the enjoyer of that? You see the disconnect that...
Yeah, I had to have a routine eye exam the other day. So I was sitting in that chair and they look in your eyes and look at this, look at that. And then I had a book in my bag and I was like, okay, when's the right time? Maybe after the eye exam. And just after she finished, then I said, oh, here. Because I think the conversation moved to say, are you going anywhere for the holidays? I said, yeah, I'm going to India. It's like, oh, what are you going to do in India? Some yoga retreat. It's like, oh, this, that. And so then I said, okay, here. So if you take books with you, wherever you go, then you look for an opportunity. You bring up a discussion and just look for the opening. Somebody says, so what do you do? It's like, oh, I'm involved with this program right now that's going on all over the world to distribute at least 3 million copies of Bhagavad Gita. I was like, really? What is that? So I think I have one right here. It's a very practical way to engage every wedding we have here, every funeral, everything, there's always huge stacks of books there. And that's one way that you can consider doing some service there, or you can also bring some prasadam or something like that. Those types of things are very practical. And if you get used to it, I know devotees like Ratatvaj Swami, wherever he travels, he always keeps a plethora of perfection of yoga. And he travels so much, and at all the gates, he's always distributing the perfection of yoga. They know him. In fact, they give him preference a lot of times, even though he might not have status on the airline. It's like, oh yeah, they'll let that guy through because he's the one that distributes the perfection of yoga. So that can be done. Keeps it lively. If you go to the store and you have to get something, then it just becomes a regular mission, or you're doing your errands. But if you take a book with you and think, who's going to get this? Then the whole thing becomes spiritually electrified. Yes. Microphone to quadrant 3, please.
Thank you. I love that story in the sense that there's always space created once you have that destination, or not destination, but what's the word that you use?
Tut.
When you have that in mind, especially when the destination is to be closer to Krishna. And I find that as you move through life with that goal in mind, yes, you have to strengthen your heart. There's a lot of hard things you have to do. But things do eventually become easier as you find the flow closer to God, less things to get in your way, less material things to distract you. And so I always find a lot of hope in that verse.
Yeah, that's beautiful reflection. And it's so true that when we take risks for Krishna and we overcome our fear that what will happen if I do this, if I give this to Krishna, or I go outside my comfort zone for Krishna. But once I start practicing that, and I see, not only wasn't I harmed like my mind told me I would be harmed, I'm still alive. And also, I feel better for it. And one builds momentum in that way by taking more and more risks for Krishna. Risks means even giving some things up, because the mind says, unless you have all these things, you won't be happy. How can you be happy without you might need it someday. Or very often, as you're giving in the context of Sankirtan, when we go out to distribute books, the mind says, oh, somebody's going to say no, and then there's a scenario in my head, then everyone will see that, oh, I don't have any spiritual potency, I can't do this. And who knows what else. You can add in the color commentary about how it all goes downhill. And like, everyone will hate me, and everyone will know I'm a fraud, and I can't do anything, blah, blah, blah. The mind's always doing that. But if we can just do our duty and dutifully go out past our comfort zone for Krishna, we start to see, actually, that's where the real happiness is. And so people become stronger, as you said. We become stronger as we do it more. We do more sacrifice. And then it becomes our main way of life. And that's one of the points Krishna makes. He's trying to coax us along. And in the 12th chapter of the Gita, he says, well, the perfection is just to be totally dedicated to me all the time. This is the real happiness in life. You're just smitten with me, you're in love with me, and everything you do is a dance that is meant to please me in all your activities. And if you can't do that, he said, then find out what other people do when they do it, and then emulate them. Do this sadhana, practice. Like, they wake up early, I wake up early. They chant Hare Krishna, I chant Hare Krishna. They take prasadam, I take prasadam. They read Bhagavatam, I read Bhagavatam. And then gradually, he said, you'll come to that point. He said, but if you can't do that, let's just say you're working and you can't you spend the time even doing the sadhana. He said, then give up some of the results of your work and give it for others who are doing it. Then he said, if you can't do that, because maybe, you don't control the bank account or whatever, he said, then volunteer for some good cause. Even if it's not Krishna conscious, because then you'll start to feel this sense that I'm doing sacrifice. And it's better than my other life, where I was working hard to hold on to everything and figure out how I'm going to stay in the material world forever. And it's a much happier, freer, liberated life when one said, okay, everything's for Krishna. Nothing for me, everything. For those who become accustomed to this, that's their mantra. Everything for Krishna, nothing for me. But it's counterintuitive because we're part of Krishna, and therefore everything we give to Krishna is actually for us because we're part. But we're doing it the wrong way, like trying to eat with one's hand a piece of cake. Which reminds me, today is a big day for birthdays. Today, Prishni is 1 year old. Or this week, sometime this week. Because it says this week, birthdays. Ramani is going to be 3 years old this week. Today, Kunjari turns 5. And there'll be cake for everybody. That's not bad. Anuradha and family are moving to Folsom. Don't clap. She's been distributing books here. She's also part of the Garland, the Rajboga service for the last 10 plus years. Well, lucky for Folsom and so sad for us, but we'd like to appreciate all the service that she's done here. And luckily, Folsom's not that far away. We're 2 rooms in the same house. And I pray that all your service may be transferred there and you may have full engagement, fulfill all your desires for pure devotional service. May you teach them the art of garland making. That's probably why Krishna is sending you up there. To spread that art that you and your team have developed over the last few years, which is remarkable. It's world class. And please help them to expand book distribution in Folsom also, okay? And I pray to Srila Prabhupada, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Shri Panchatattva, Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Shri Lakshmi Nrsingadev, that they may bless you and your whole family, that you always remain close in service to their lotus feet, and always feel satisfied in Krishna consciousness by the association of the Vaishnavas. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Everyone who agrees with this prayer in whole or in part, please unmute and say Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Now we're going to have a few announcements. The first one is about Bhakti community. Now, everything that we do in Krishna consciousness is connected. So, for instance, the deities, the devotees dream about how to decorate the deities, how to dress them beautifully, and there's a temple here that is just meant to create an atmosphere so when people come in, they feel very welcome and satisfied. And so we're always, and by the way, I just want to mention that it's really important that when people come to the temple, we try to understand their mood and their sensibilities. Lots of different types of people come here. And we have our momentum. Oftentimes we feel comfortable here because we've been in the environment for a long time. But when other people come, sometimes it might be an abrupt kind of, they might feel a little out of place because they're not sure how to fit into the flow exactly. So our main service really for having the temple is so that people can come here and have a heartwarming experience and feel really connected to community and to the process of devotional service and feel like they have a home here. Would you all agree with that? Yes. So that goes down to every individual because when people come here, they don't know who's who. And if somebody treats them nicely, then they'll just say, oh, everybody's like that. And if somebody's a little harsh with them, then it might also reflect on the whole community. Might reflect not just on this community, but all of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So, can we take a pledge? Yes. To make each person who comes here to be considered the most important person in the universe, and that we go out of our way to accommodate each person who comes here, and also we're really careful about engaging them. Now, one of the ways that we engage people is through book distribution. And throughout the years, I've seen that it's most important to leave everybody with a good impression. In fact, I think it's well known that I teach that wherever I go. Let's start with that in mind. And it holds even for the temple. So if someone comes to the temple, and let's say we're having a big marathon to distribute Bhagavatams or Bhagavad Gitas, we have to make sure first and foremost that people are left with a good impression. And not that the most important thing is that they take a Bhagavatam or a bunch of Bhagavad Gitas with them as the goal. And so I'm just saying that it works out well if we have that mood when people come here. So we have to be really careful. Should I say the reason I brought it up? Somebody wrote me a letter and said that some of their associates had come here, and that somebody was a little pushy, more than a little, actually, and that they had an experience which made them feel uncomfortable enough so that they said they wouldn't come back. And so each one of us, the only way I can think to deal with this really is to be more conscious and to inculcate this idea that, you know, we have to be really open and helpful to people, and also sense if somebody's new here, even if they appear like, okay, you're the type of person that should take Bhagavad Gitas, and then we insist upon it, they might feel really put off. Or if they say, well, I have another Bhagavad Gita I read. And we can point out in a very universal way that there are various Bhagavad Gitas, but we shouldn't do things like say, oh, well, that's no good. We have to be really gentle and open-minded and universal with people. Oftentimes social groups, they become kind of closed, and the idea is like, oh, only our ideas are good, everybody else can basically go to hell. I mean, that's how a lot of religious communities end up, isolated, and then they feel like we're the only ones. Well, we're not. I mean, everybody's got their own track and connection to Krishna, so we have to be really careful about how we deal with people. And you know, one incident can affect our reputation, just like a commercial establishment. You know, all it takes is one person who has a bad experience, and then they apparently tell a lot more people about the bad experience than when they have a good one. At least that's what marketing research tells, customer service and so forth. Beyond that, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, you should be a kind friend to all living beings. So if we're aware of the environment, in our enthusiasm, we have to keep in mind that the ultimate goal is to leave everyone with a good impression, and to make them feel loved, appreciated, wanted, despite whatever position in life they're in right now. It's not our business to yank them out of it. It's our business to create an environment where they feel so appreciated that they don't want to leave. Does that make sense? Yes. That's a much better process than trying to change somebody on the spot to a new point of view. Generally, people don't like that. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. You can lead a man to wisdom, but you can't make him think. A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. Better to be kind and give lots of prasadam and just encouragement for whatever position of life somebody's in. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says this. He says, although one may know the principles of the Vedas and what about work and so forth, shouldn't discourage people who are engaged in work, because they have to continue working. And if you discourage them, they're just going to be confused. So you should just show them how to work in a spirit of devotion. And Krishna is very gentle about that, the way he says it. He's like, be careful. And so this could be a point to where we upgrade. Just take it as a sign that although generally we're known as a very friendly place, we have to be on the lookout for any kind of interactions with people that might rub them the wrong way, because we have no room even for one interaction that is not savory and that puts somebody on the defensive, or they say, oh, I'll never go back to that place. That's horrible. What do you all think? Any comments, any thoughts? Srivas Prabhu?
Thank you, Prabhu, for the really nice comment, and I think it's a soberly and timely reminder about the conduct that we have to adopt here. Taking the counter Purva Paksha in this matter, the couple of incidents that actually happened, and if you can give us some guidance. So one guest came when the deities were taking rest, and they tried to push open the altar to open it to see the deities in their anxiety. That was one. I think we'll leave it at that. So can you give us some guidance to those who need to take care of that aspect as well? So thank you.
How would they push open the iron rod doors?
This was before we had the iron doors.
Oh. Well, you can remember in Jagannath Puri when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was taking darshan at the Garuda Stamba, and a woman came in. She was so enthusiastic that she climbed up halfway on the Garuda Stamba and halfway on Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's shoulders, stepped on the Lord to see Jagannath. And then Govinda, his servant, chastised the woman and said, get down, get down, get down, get down. And she got down and was like, oh, what are you doing? And Mahaprabhu then noticed, his trance broke from looking at the deity. He said, what are you doing? He said, she climbed on your shoulders, see the deities. And he said, he chastised Govinda. He said, what are you, an uncivilized person? I wish I had that kind of enthusiasm. Of course, we don't want people blatantly breaking rules or, trampling on things, but I've seen sometimes, a kid starts to climb on the altar. He doesn't know any better. And people run over like, okay, execute him. Or if, people come, they're used to a certain style of going to a temple and that's that. No, we don't want to break the rules, but we'll be very careful. If somebody new comes and they stretch out their legs in front of the deities, it's not a big deal. We don't need to go over and say, you can't do that here. We don't want this to be the you can't do that here temple. At the same time, we have to obviously have some, protocol, but we should be really gentle about it. Really, just from the heart, try to help people understand, what to do and what not to do. Go out of our way for them.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I took the devil's advocate just to make sure.
That's what it's all about. We got to have a Purva Paksha. Siddhanta Bole Chitta Nakara Alash. We have to discuss these things threadbare so we come to the Siddhanta. Then it really comes from the heart because we understand what are all the variants that we have to deal with, and that's how we grow. But this is a time that we can really grow. It's a consciousness raising. I'm going to be out of town for a couple months, but I think that should be, there should be a reminder always in our internal dealings and whenever we're making internal announcements, just to remember how important it is to be a kind friend to others. Etiquette, when we serve prasadam, and everyone should look and see how the guests are being taken care of first. Let them eat first. If you're so hungry you have to charge the line or something like that, have a milkshake before you come or something. But main thing is to take care of people when they come here. Everyone first. It's like if somebody comes to your house and then you eat first. This is where we live, right? We all live here. We're serving the Lord here by Krishna's grace that He lets us in here to serve. So if somebody else comes in to serve and then, we're like, yeah, you can wait at the back of the line, I'll go to the front. It's like if somebody comes to your house and you say, we'll eat. Our family will eat first. And then later on, we'll see if there's any left for you. Or what to speak of a place to sit or anything like that. So it's really high-class devotional service when we go out of our way to make sure that, the guests come first, the people who are endeavoring for Krishna consciousness. In fact, that's the sign of a Madhyama Adhikari. A Kanishta Adhikari is only engaged in worshiping the deity and doesn't care about anybody else. But a Madhyama Adhikari sees that everybody else is a representative of the deity. And that if somebody comes here, that's like a miracle. Anybody who walks in the door here is some kind of very special soul who's made a long, long journey to get here. So we should really go out of our way. Okay, announcements. I'm going to get off my soapbox now. Let's welcome Bhakti community. We have a couple announcements. First, Bhakti community.
Thank you, everyone. Just introducing Bhakti community in case you haven't heard about it before. Just taking it from this morning's Japa circle, I was thinking, Maharaj was saying it's so important to have a place where we can all come together and cooperate and chant. And do you all think we are in a material ocean? And do you agree that we will, with the help of chanting and this process, we can come out of this material ocean? Yes. And by chanting, it actually, the material ocean becomes as small as the hoof print of a calf. Do you agree?
Yes.
Can you pay back to the first person ever who brought you to this knowledge? Can you pay back?
No.
So we can only pay forward, and that's what our mission is, our life mission is. Because we can never pay back, and we have realized this. And the only way to pay forward is to give that hand, that genuine connection that we got once in our own lives. And it's at our time to pay forward. And Bhakti community is really trying to do that and establishing sincere, genuine connections, heart-to-heart connections. We give books. After that, we want to bring people to the community, to Krishna consciousness, help them read these books, help them understand the philosophy, help them have a place where they can come and where they can connect. After they have a place where they can come, they feel genuine connection. Their mind will also come, they will learn the philosophy, they will do what we are doing, they will come to the temple, they will distribute books, they will, fund us also. But we need to develop, give them our heart and soul and, everything that we have. So Bhakti community is exactly trying to do that, and we run throughout the week many programs. We have Monday program 5:30, Thursday 5:30. We have corporate programs on Fridays 12 p.m. We have Women's Circle on Sunday 7:30 a.m. So non-stop. We recently did 2 fireside chats with Maharaj at Palo Alto, one on the 2nd of December and one yesterday night. People really like them. People just want to come, do some Kirtan, do some chanting, do some Katha, open up your hearts. We are really looking for devotees who can be those buddies or servant leaders for all these newcomers. We are really short-staffed. We need volunteers who can now come onto Bhakti community, bring the newcomers and stay with them on their journey, not just like, okay, here's a newcomer, Bhakti community, take it over. We need volunteers. We really need volunteers and we need your help. So please join, hands, forces, everything to help us. We have a path. We know how to take everyone to the journey, but we need your help. So please, sincere request to all of you, We'll take a couple of weeks break because a lot of our volunteers, including ourselves, will not be in town, but we'll regroup again in January with new programs. Our Bhakti Circle series has completed, and we will start the new series. If you have newcomers, please bring them. In the meanwhile, Mantra Room continues. Anant Chaitanya Prabhu and Vrinda Sevika continuing. They did the 5th session last night, Karma, the Infallible Justice. So what they now do is they just take our material. If we are not there, they bring in any volunteer to take the class. So it's a very, very versatile program. So if you feel that you want to start in your home, in your company, or anywhere, we have the material, we have the videos, we can share with you. You just get it started. So everything is over here available. Thank you, everyone, and please help spread Bhakti community. We have a wonderful flyer. We keep getting feedback. We got some wonderful feedback about increasing some font for Maha Mantra. We're working on that. So wonderful, wonderful flyer. Please give these flyers when we distribute books, and it has all the philosophy that you will need to even talk to the participants, and they help them connected. This informs them about the programs and timing and everything. So please help us take this forward. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Pavani Bhakti. And now Malin Devi Dasi will give us an update on our Sankirtan as we're inching towards our goals. And the marathon is actually in many places just starting.
Hare Krishna. I was reflecting on the class today as Prabhu was reading the purport. It said that Brahma actually takes care of the universal affairs, but it's actually just a show put on for Krishna. So it's actually his show. So lucky we are that we get to be part of that show. The whole reason this material world is created is so that all the souls that are there, Krishna wants to reclaim them, and you get to be the instrument. So that's what we are doing in this marathon. We are going every place we can, door to door, store to door, any events, festivals, anywhere, wherever we find a soul, we just try to present them with the Bhagavad Gita. Of course, leaving them with a good impression is the most important thing. I wanted to share, last week, it was pouring down, and Govind Charan Prabhu joined our team in Morgan Hill. And I saw that all the devotees, when it was pouring down, they were really happy. They were actually jumping in the puddles of water because they never get to do that normally. But this is the time where you actually are authorized to go out and distribute books in the rain. So they just felt like so happy. They were just going in the rain and distributing. And we went to many, many places. And one of the places was an ice cream shop again. And then when we placed them the book, they offered ice cream, and then we said it has eggs, sorry, we cannot take them. But we went to McDonald's after that. When we went to McDonald's, there was a manager who came, and before the manager came, there was an employee, and we showed her the books on yoga meditation, the stack of 3 books, and she was very excited. And the manager came and said, sorry, we cannot take these books. This is, our company policy doesn't allow. And then the employee was saying, no, we want these books. And then she's saying, no, we cannot take, it's a company policy. And she said, it's okay, no problem, we'll take it for all the employees. And then finally the manager gave in because of the employee. And then she took the whole case of Bhagavad Gita for all the employees there. And we were watching that as soon as we were just about to pack up and leave, she actually opened the whole stack. She started opening and looking at the pictures and reading the Bhagavad Gita. It was so nice to see that they're so eager, not only just to receive, but also to read them. And somebody was mentioning that we put some books store to store in one of the, some tea shops, and somebody texted me and sent me a picture where a customer actually picked up the Bhagavad Gita and left from that store. So many nice stories, and so please join us. Our marathon is still progressing, and we still have a huge goal left. And tomorrow is even special. Kids are going out tomorrow to distribute at least 5,000 Bhagavad Gitas, and there's a pizza party after that at the temple, 3 p.m. So you have to sign up before 10 a.m. So you have about 10 minutes to sign up to get the pizza. Otherwise, Hansapriya won't know the count, so she won't be able to make the pizzas. So please do sign up. And we will have a table here near the bookshelf where you can pick up all the materials to pack the books, stickers, and we'll tell you what to say. If you're going store to store, we can give you the cards and everything. So please see us. We will be there in that corner, especially for the kids' parents. So thank you so much for listening. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Malini Devi Dasi. And now we have an announcement from Youth Jam. Youth Jam is an international organization dedicated to keeping the youth of the world. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Oh. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. I see. I see. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we have some very exciting news. Today and tomorrow we'll be selling our luggage tags. So part over there is going to show you the front side as well as the back side of the luggage tag. They're two different colors.
You can see it pretty well from there, right? Can I see one? Yeah, thanks.
And so there's the front, the back.
Go ahead.
And there are 3 compartments to it. It has your name, your phone number, and everything that we can, an address to identify you and your luggage. And it's also adjustable. The string can be varied in size. And you can attach it to any of your luggages, bags, backpacks, lunchbox, anything. And so we'll be selling this today and tomorrow, and it's only $5, and we'll have a booth set up here after Prashadam. Parth. Hey.
Do you want to say anything more? Just 2 sentences about Youth Jam for people listening around the world. How they can join.
Yes, Youth Jam is a program that we conduct on Saturday afternoons, online and in person on Sunday evenings. It is for all ages up until even 21, 24, and we encourage you all to join if you can. Every weekend we engage ourselves in hearing, chanting, and discussing realizations, and we learn a lot from one another and grow together because we're in a like-minded as well as tight-knit community.
Haribol. And now we have an award ceremony, right? Oh, right, it's tomorrow. Okay, now it's cake for everyone. Is that what it is? Okay, now we're going to sing happy birthday to all the devotees who have so kindly appeared here in the world and at ISV in particular. Where are they? Prishni, Ramani, Kunjari. Are they all here? And where's the cake? Are you bringing it out now? Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I know you all don't like extra attention, but we'd like to honor you on your birthday. Today's your birthday. Yours is sometime this week, on the 26th. So we want to offer a special prayer that on the day of your birthday, we pray that dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Shri Panchatattva, Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Shri Lakshmi Srigadev, if you so desire, please give these children always your protection at your lotus feet. Engage in unshakable devotional service, and instill in them compassion for all living beings. And please empower them to help carry on the Sankirtan movement around the world. And that they may always be dreaming about Vrindavan in their minds and hearts. Om Tat Sat. Everyone agrees with this prayer in whole or in part, please say Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. And now we'd like to sing a very special song for you on your birthday. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya eva cha patina pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Is this the cake? Is that a cake? I'm not convinced. It looks like something else. Happy birthday to Kunjari and Prishni. Prishni, any comment? Kunjari, any comment? Like to say anything to the devotees? Okay, go ahead. Come on up here. Here. Okay, here's the mic.
Hare Krishna, everybody. I pray that I would be blessed by all of you, and I think that I'm here to see all of you.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And Ramani, all the prayers that we just said for Prishni and Kunjari also go for you. Hare Krishna. Wishing you a very happy birthday this week. Okay? Did somebody bring a knife for the kids? Where's the knife? Oh, good. Run with it. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Pardon me? Okay. Thank you everyone for joining for this Saturday morning hearing chanting session. And we'll have Sankirtan available for everybody. The books are outside, cars going to various places. Please feel free to jump in and go out for 5 minutes or longer and just feel what it's like to be out in the great unknown for Krishna. And we'll see you all back here tomorrow. And now we have prasadam for everybody. Sharir Advidya Jodendriya Tahika Jive Pele Vishaya Shagare Tarma Jiti Vayati Loba Moisu Durhati Take Jeta Katika Sanshare Krishna Borodoya Gori Bari Chipraja Swaprasad Annadi Lobahar Shayanamrita Pao Radha Krishna Gunagao Premedako Shri Chaitanya Nitai Premedako Sri Chaitanya Nitai Mahaprasade Govinde Namaprabhi Vaishnave Sarva Punyamatam Rajan Vishwasto Navajayate Prasade Sarva Chitana Adhyasya Pujayate Dasana Cheta Soyashi Yudipaya Chistete Tvaya Prabhutta Shaitanya Vasodam Karachachita Krishna Mojino Dasa Tavamayam Jaimahi Bhagavat Shri Mahaprasad Ki Go Premanande Nitai Goda Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Goda Hari Bol Please come take Prashadam. Hari Bol. Vanchagoptarushcha Kripasanaveva Patitanam Bhavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Shri Shri Radhamadan Mohan Ji Ki Jai.
Hare Krishna. Today's prasadam is cooked by Ananga Sundari and Ananga Gopika, Hitesh and Mukharvinda Prabhu and team. Today's prasadam will be served outside at 10:30 a.m. We're going to come back. There is a kids performance. ISV kids are doing Vaishnava Academy